All right, welcome back to another edition of Boss Beat, a latte of leadership for those seeking to be and build better bosses in business. And yes, Ben does like his bees. We're catching you late again today, later in the day than we like, so today's water rather than a latte. But we're catching you late today because we got to do another awesome session of IT management and leadership development. We had a great cohort, again, this group, a lot of folks in education and medicine, as well as some technical services, some folks doing some really cool work with AI these days. So, here at Boss Beat, we like to help you be and build better bosses. We do that by focusing on the 7 core principles of great leadership, which are populating on your screen as we speak. I won't bother to read through them. You can see them for yourself. But these aren't just my random ideas. They're not just the thoughts of one person. Instead, they are based on over 2 decades of research where we identified and consolidated over 300 different attributes by some of the world's greatest leadership experts and practitioners over time as examples, where we found that many of them speak about the same thing. Yes, they use different terms, they use different examples and industries, but ultimately they're talking about the same great principles of leadership. That's what we focus on. But we know you're very busy, so we focus on being practical and actionable. Very real world examples. We don't talk about pie in the sky or theory, nothing against the academics. We need their information and their examples, but we do focus on reality, what it's like to do this in the trenches in business on a daily basis. Today, we're talking about empathy. If you happen to catch yesterday's recording, we're redoing it today because the audio got messed up, so I hope you don't mind. But empathy. What are we talking about when we speak about the core principle of empathy? The attributes, if you remember our model, is at the top you got a principle and there's a lot of different attributes that support each of those principles. The attributes we're going to focus on for empathy today are care and concern. As an executive, as a leader, you don't have to be all mushy and soft, but you have to care for your people. I think it was John Wooden who said that you don't have to like your players, but you have to love them. And that means that at the end of the day, you've got to care for your people. You've got to have concern for them. If you could care less about what's going on in their personal lives, if you could care less about their struggles, you're never going to be a great boss. You're never going to be a good leader. You've got to have care and concern for your people. Appreciation. There are many different types of appreciation, of course, but what we talk about from a servant leadership perspective, from a great boss perspective, at the end of the day, you need to show appreciation. Now, good appreciation, in case you're not familiar with it, is timely and detailed or specific. So, you don't wait for months to thank somebody, and when you thank them, you don't just say thanks for all your hard work. That's meaningless. If you say, hey, Erica, I really appreciate all that effort you put in last week on the project. By staying late those nights, we were able to meet our deadlines, and that client was thrilled with the work. We're likely going to get a special recognition from the industry for it. You give specific examples. When you give specific examples and you're timely, people appreciate your appreciation even more. And the third attribute is healing. Larry Spears and other great leadership advocates have talked a lot about healing. Now, we don't hear about that as often, though, in traditional leadership books. But when we talk about healing, what we mean is the simple reality that all of us are human beings and we have gone through difficult times in our lives, but especially in the workplace, it's not uncommon for people to work for a really bad boss and start second guessing themselves. They start being very self-conscious about what they can achieve. Instead, as a good leader, as a good boss, you've got to help identify those individuals and help them heal, help them recognize that they are valuable. They bring great ideas and powerful capabilities to the workplace. My favorite example of this right now is happening in the NFL. The Detroit Lions, for the first time in over 30 years, are one game away from going to the Super Bowl. And who's leading them there right now? Their quarterback, Jared Goff, was with the LA Rams, I believe. I think I got that right. And it was a terrible ending to his relationship with them. He got traded to the Lions with no real sympathy or empathy for what he was going through. And I know it was a tough time for him. He speaks about it fairly openly, but makes it clear that, what's going on right now is not about him. It's about the Lions and the team. But the reality is he had a bad end to that relationship. He was self-conscious. He'll talk about how he was second-guessing himself and his abilities. When he came to the Detroit Lions, the coaches there took him with open arms and encouraged him. They healed him from this perspective. And now, as you watch him play, he's playing better than he's ever played before. And it's a fantastic and exciting thing to watch. When a leader recognizes somebody who might be damaged, hurt, or harmed by previous bad bosses' behaviors, that's when great healing can occur. And you can end up with some incredibly dedicated employees who may deliver for you the first thing that you've seen, the first time you've seen such amazing results in over 30 years. Go Lions. All right. Now that's the attributes we're going to talk about. For a specific example, I like to highlight whenever I'm speaking about empathy. I get very frustrated by that very common phrase that we hear all the time, walk a mile in their shoes. We always say, hey, don't just, if you want to understand how somebody feels, walk a mile in their shoes. I don't like saying that. Why? When you ask somebody how they're doing, what do they tell you? They usually respond with, oh, I'm good, I'm great, things are fine, we're doing well. We don't usually go into the challenges we're facing. We don't think the person asking us how we're doing really cares about us and what's going on in our lives. So when we think about walking a mile in their shoes, based on what we know about most of our team members, means we're probably going to be thinking that we're walking in sandals on a beach on a sunny day during vacation, because we haven't got at their struggles. We don't really understand because we lack that care and concern that we talked about. So instead of thinking walk a mile in their shoes, I say walk a mile in their muddy boots. When you do that, when you think about walking a mile in their muddy boots, then you're thinking about their challenges, their struggles. What are the greatest problems they're facing? So instead of thinking walk a mile in their shoes, I encourage you to think walk a mile in their muddy boots. Now, as for building empathy in yourself and those you seek to build better boss behaviors in, how do we do that? I like to look at what Abraham Lincoln said. This man obviously has many amazing quotes and examples of great leadership. This one is very relevant. He says, when I am getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I am going to say, and I spend 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. So as you seek to build more empathy in yourself or others, the challenge for you today is how will you get to the muddy boots of the people you serve? How will you focus on how much they are going to say? How much time will you spend thinking about what the other person is going to say? If you do those two things, you're liable to build a lot more empathy in yourself and those you seek to build better boss behaviors in. Now, if you like this sort of content, I hope you'll check out my virtualleadershipprograms.com. There you'll find lots of information of a similar nature, some courses that I offer rather on the same sort of approach, very practical and reality-based. The other thing is, if you want more information about all of these terms and attributes, just go to modernservantleader.com, come out here to resources, and then go down to the leadership map. And there you can find all the hundreds of different attributes. Today we talked about empathy. Whoops, helps if I spell it right. And you can see all those attributes and all the examples from all the great leadership experts, quotes, and so on. I'm Ben Lichtenwallner. I thank you for your time. Until next time, keep serving.